Well, it's been an absolutely crazy week. An additional 3 videos. I've got 4 new stash ads, and that's just the beginning. Hello and welcome to Model Kit Stuff. It's table talk time again, and we've got loads to get through, so we best get cracking. Let's start off with a massive thank you to all of you that subscribe. This week we hit the milestone of 6,000 subscribers. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But if you are one of my new subscribers, thank you very much for joining the channel. It's greatly appreciated. You're bound to find something of interest if you go onto my page and dig through all the videos that we've got there. The back catalogue of videos is now quite extensive. Nearly 3 years we've been producing stuff that's all related to model kits in one way or another. Almost, or everything related to model kits, I guess. So yeah, if you're new to the channel and you've not watched Table Talk before, we do a bit of a recap on what happened in the week. We talk about what's coming up, and then we talk about what happened in the week on the table, which includes stash ads, where we got to with modelling, and all sorts of stuff. And it's been an absolutely bonkers week. So 6,000 subscribers, massive thank you to all of you. Yesterday, oh no, not yesterday, day before yesterday, I record this on a Friday, you see it on a Saturday. So on Thursday, I put out a video thanking you all for the 6,000 subscriptions. I think it was Monday or Tuesday we ticked over that 6,000 line. And if you haven't seen it, I put a video out. It's really important you go and catch it, because I'm giving all 6,000 of you plus an opportunity to decide what we build next on the channel out of a selection of kits that I've taken out of the stash. Now, I've tried to cover most bases. I haven't covered all, because it just, you know, you'd end up with a big long list of kits, and kits that I'm going to tackle in different ways. So there's different things there. Be interesting to see what people come up with. I will show you those kits later on, but what you need to do is go and get to that video and put a vote in the comments underneath, and then in a week or so's time we'll top them all up and decide which one was the winner. And it's first past the post is how we do it. So whichever gets the most single votes, even though that might mean more people didn't want to see it, it's we can't do proportional representation with a model kit, so it is what it is. So yeah, if you're interested in giving a steer on what comes next, which will be after the Bowfighter. So just a quick recap: Queen Mary 2, followed by 1200 Scharnhorst, which is all ready to go, pre-planning done, ready to get stuck into the plastic. And then we've got the GoTa, and after the GoTa, we're going to do the Bowfighter, and then it'll be the 6,000 subs choice, whatever that will be. So we're not far off getting that in. We're not going to have to hang around like we did with the GoTa, because I've not got that much on. The GoTa, we're in the slow bit now with the rigging. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it won't be long before we get to that subscriber choice. So that's what's happening on the subscribers front. And again, a massive thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And as I said in the video, I love doing this. I love my hobby. And doing these videos is now all part of that hobby. So all good. Now, another thing I should point out is that we have a new feature on the channel. If you look at the bottom of this video, you'll see a little symbol. It depends on the video, I think. It seems to change shape a little bit, with a little $sign in. That allows you to contribute to the channel if you so wish. So I'm not doing membership, I'm not doing Patreon and stuff like that because it takes up more of my time, and I have to then come up with something to warrant you spending money on membership and stuff, and I just don't have enough time to do it, and I don't really want to. I want to keep the channel free and give maximum access to maximum people, rather than, you know, stuff that's just for those that are members. Doesn't sit overly comfortable with me, though I have considered membership in the past, and we've even talked about it on here, but ultimately I prefer to just produce stuff, put it out, and anybody who's interested be able to watch it. But if you want to support the channel, and any money that's generated from the adverts and any money that comes from clicking that button and donating to the channel goes into getting new kits, which we can then share on the channel. So times are tough. My hobby budget at the moment goes into supporting a couple of charities in Ukraine. So the channel is, and my hobby is completely funded by the channel. So any money that comes in will go into things like product reviews, kits for review, and that sort of stuff. So, you know, there's no pressure. I'm not asking you to contribute or contribute regularly or anything like that. It's, you know, if you feel like you've watched a video and it was really helpful, or you really enjoyed it and you've got a pound to spare and you'd like to keep the channel running, brilliant. You can hit that button, and that gives you an opportunity to do that. Okay, moving on. Where to start? So we've already talked about one additional video we did this week, so let's talk about the other videos that went out this week. So we started the week on Monday with the ICM paint thinning, and basically all my thinners that I've got that I know could potentially work. So I've got other thinners that, you know, are for enamels or lacquer paints. The old brain's a bit slow in the mornings. Then I haven't used those. So we just went with the acrylic paint thinners. And as you saw, water did a really good job. There were some other thinners as well. It might be different when we get to airbrushing, because thinners have properties in that might be helpful with flow through an airbrush. So we did that, very short video, but it gives people an idea. And if you've tried thinning it with one, and then it gives you an idea of whether there's something out there that might be better that you might have or might not have. But you know, the Vallejo thinner seems to work very well, and I'm interested when I come to airbrush whether we can use their flow improver and things like that. So I've done some of that airbrushing video, just not all of it, but you're going to see the Monday coming a brush painting video and how it performs under brush paint. So that's what's coming next on the ICM paint. Back to this week then, and Wednesday was quite a busy day because we had the War of the Worlds tripods first impressions go out. It's a cracking little kit, everything that you need in the box. I think it's a well thought through kit, and it's digitally taken from the original digital imagery for the film, so you know it's spot on accurate, give or take with scaling down and limitations of moulding. So they're two cracking kits, and putting it into 1:35 scale is genius because I can now do my Thunderchild diorama that I've been thinking about literally for decades. So yeah, quite excited to get into that. A lot of that kit I'll end up not using, but as always, you'll keep it just in case, and you never know, might find a use for it one day. But yeah, that was a really nice video. And then in the evening we did our live stream so that we could do the box opening, our first impressions. So we did two that day on the new Austin General Service truck from Airfix. Now, it's a natural progression from the ambulance they did, and what we've discovered is with the subsequent video that came out on the Thursday, that the kit was clearly designed and tooled at the same time as the K2 ambulance, because the runners sequence, when you put the two kits together, you've got the full sequence, and there's duplication. So you've actually only got one set of sprue that's defining the truck from the ambulance, whereas the ambulance has got an additional two to the truck. So it's a less complex kit. And my good friend of the channel, Jeff Donahue, has subsequently put out a review of the Gecko kit, which came out earlier. And I've got to be honest, I've not finished watching the video. I'm about halfway through. I was running it this morning. And so far, my conclusion is the Gecko kit is 25% more expensive. For that, you get two additional paint options. You get a figure, a driver figure. You get a little bit more photo etch, which allows you to add more detail, and you get wholly incorrect seats. They've used the ambulance seats for the truck, and that's completely wrong. So when they did the ambulance, they got the nose wrong, and when they've done the truck, they've got the seats wrong. So you have to be really careful with those Gecko kits. So yeah, the Airfix kit has two bucket seats, which look like they might be slide molded on reflection. When we were doing the live stream, I thought, no, it's not slide molded. But now looking at how the sprue's organised, it's a slightly different way of doing slide molding than normal. So you don't usually, you still get the frame, but it's sort of hard. You get a flat edge where the tool goes in. There was none of that, so it threw me for a moment, but there is some slide moulding in that kit. So I thought it was a really nice kit. It's certainly a more simple kit than the Gecko kit, and possibly won't be quite as detailed, and it's got one or two things missing. But once you spot one inaccuracy in a kit, you have to start questioning everything else. But I haven't finished watching Jeff's video. Jeff, if you're watching this, I will finish the video, and I will leave a comment underneath on what my thoughts are on that. But so far, a really lovely review, mate. If you've not seen Jeff's channel, and if you've not seen Jeff's video, go and catch it, because he's got loads of really interesting content. So I don't do live stream videos very often, but I always enjoy them when I do them. And I had Daisy with me, who was keeping an eye on the chat and pointing out various questions and stuff, and then I could put those into the chat and we talked about them. But it's a different experience doing a first impressions live, because you get interruptions. I have to open the bags live because, you know, can't edit stuff out. So it is a different experience. I do appreciate that. But it's nice to get out there with a review early on. So we did that. It's already back it's already in the attic as part of my stash. But you've all seen that now, and if you haven't, go and check it out. The full first impressions was about an hour and 5 minutes, the full live stream, and then the supplemental video that came out afterwards. You get close-up photographs of the parts, and we do the comparison between the KT sprues and the general service truck sprues, and I just give you some final thoughts. So that was Thursday's additional video, but it wasn't the only additional video on Thursday, because we put the 6,000 subscribers out as well. So busy. And then Friday, of course, it's the day when we put out the build video and have the premiere with the live chat, always popular. And that was the GoTa build part 10. Yeah, that's right. A slightly shorter video than normal. I usually try and make them about an hour thereabouts. This one was about 3/4 of an hour. I just run out of. It was just a natural break at the end of that wing, and to extend it would have been to put in preparation of upper wings, which is what comes next. And just felt like that was a natural place to break the video, so we did that. So next up will be a little bit of the same, upper wings, same painting, same decals, but we'll try and abbreviate it. And then we go into painting the spars, which is what I'm currently doing, and adding the rigging. So let's show you that. So I am just over halfway with the rigging. You can see all of that rigging thread. So I've got to this point here. So I've done all of that, and I've just got this wing here to do. So the idea is, when this gets built up, you actually build this upside down. So you put the two half top wings on with the gap for the fuselage, and you turn the whole thing upside down. So these rigging lines will then all drop and naturally be falling down, and that will just help. You can then thread it and tighten it up. So yeah, there you go. Lots and lots of rigging lines on there. If you remember, we counted 59 in total, so yeah, lots to do. So much so that I've ordered more eyes, and I need to order some more tubes as well, really, from Bob's Buckles. But yeah, it's going okay. The wing spars are primed. A little bit of remedial work to do, and then we can paint them up and ready for fitting. Now, I have to be honest, I am not looking forward to doing those wing spars. You've got to turn it upside down, so you've got two wings with spars in that you're trying to marry up with one whole top wing. So you've got to have it all in place, you've got to have it held steady, and you've got to locate each spar into place. Might even be a two-man job. Yeah, I've got to work out how I'm going to do it, because it's such a massive wing. My wing jig that I've got is just way too big for that. So and I don't want to scuff any of the paint and stuff, so handling it's going to be tricky. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. So anyway, basically the next steps on that are prepping the upper wings. Like I say, I've got to put all the eye bolts into there as well, and then once that's done, then we can bring those two halves together. Now, once the wings are together and we've got them all glued in place, then we've got framework to do and floats onto the framework. Then we can flip it back up, put the fuselage in, final bits of rigging, you know, and then we're pretty much there. So there's not and propellers, which I haven't started yet. So there's not a lot left to do, but it's one of those where you just know, gut feel is it's going to take you a lot longer than you imagine. You know, when you talk about it, oh, you could do that in a weekend. No. And as a result, the GoTa build, it might be a couple of weeks before you see anything else, because there's no point in me making a video of me just doing lots of rigging. So, yeah. So you will see the, we talked about this last week, you will see the Ghost of Kiev build coming on to fill that gap. So I think we mentioned that last week. Before we start talking about what's coming up next and other bits and pieces, I thought you might be interested to see what went on behind the scenes did the live stream. So I thought you might be interested in the setup for the live stream that we did for this, the Airfix new British Army General Service truck. Now, at this moment in time, it is 8:10, planning to go live at 9. So I will be sat here on my chair, and then next to me will be my beautiful assistant Daisy, my eldest daughter, who will be keeping an eye on the chat and bringing to my attention any questions as we roll. You can see I've got my mic on its boom, and the cable just trails across the back there. It's usually plugged in to this up here, which goes into my iPad on here, but I've actually moved the iPad boom up so I can hang my webcam facing down at the kit. And if you look at the screen, you can see my hand moving. That is what I see until we go live. So when we go live, you can see I use StreamYard. I'll be seeing the screen there in front of me, and I'll be seeing the comments. There is a delay. The comments are much quicker actually on YouTube than StreamYard, which is why it's helpful to have Daisy helping out. She can pick them up before I do. But when you're doing something, and in this case we're going to be doing a first impressions kit review, that's when you just can't focus on that screen. But that's my view. That's what I get. And you can see we have multiple options at the bottom if we've got more people in, and it works really well. So yeah, that's the kit as yet unopened and delivered today, the first of Airfix's catalogue for 2023 that I pre-ordered. And I've got to be honest, I was expecting the Ferret, but we got the army truck first. But yeah, so that is the setup for tonight. And I'm hoping, because there's a fair few different live streams and different things going on in the evenings during the week, I'm hoping there's a few people available to watch it. So fingers crossed it goes okay, and I'll see you later. Right then, stash ads. So you know one of them, the general service truck, well, that was one of 4 this week. So yeah, had a lot of stuff delivered, because they even got some stuff for the Workbench, and we might show you that as well. So let's start with this. Now, those of you that follow Peter Oxly's channel will recognise this. In fact, this is the very kit that he reviewed on his channel. So let me talk you through what happened. So anyone that was following the live presentation of that channel, Peter was when he had all these ICM kits out. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec. And it basically said, if anyone's interested in these kits, let me know. So I immediately in the chat said I'd be interested in the staff car. And he immediately said, except for the staff car. So he wanted to build that one himself. And he then subsequently did a video to say, this is how it's going to work. I've been talking to ICM, and this is how it's going to work. So Peter has done has an arrangement with ICM where he's going to pick new release kits. They're going to send them to him. He's going to review them. Then the finished kits that he doesn't want to keep, he has to give away. He's not allowed to sell them, and so he has to give them away. So covering his costs for postage and a donation to a Ukraine charity is what he's requesting in return for the kit. So I'd sent him an email saying, yeah, I'd be up for that, and what have you, and we'd had a little chat on email, and he said, give me your address, I've got something I want to send you if you can cover the shipping cost. So I said, yeah, sure, fair enough. So I didn't know what he was going to send me. I think he sent it to be signed for, so I sent him the money, did the bank transfer, and he said, not telling you what I'm sending you, but you're going to love it. So I was pretty much guessing it was one of the ICM kits, and I was trying to think, well, I can't remember what was on there exactly, because I'd been quite focused on the staff car. Anyway, it turned up and it was the staff car. So I emailed Peter and said, did you get 2 of these? Because you were quite keen on building it. And basically he changed his mind and said, look, I would like to build it, but I've got other stuff I want to do. It'll be ages before I get done, so I'd like to see you build it on your channel. So at some point, we will build this on the channel. My condition is I'm not allowed to do a first impressions on it because he's already done it and we don't want to tread on toes, and that's, you know, fair enough. So yeah, we have the ICM German staff car. If you would like to see a review of what you get in the box, pop over to Peter's channel. If you've not been to Peter's channel before, then now's a good time to go and check him out. He's got lots of stuff on there, especially if you're a Matchbox fan. And he's going to have more and more ICM kits reviewed as they come out. So new releases, he'll be having a good look at them, and then he gives them a score based on his extensive knowledge and long history of building kits, what he thinks of them. So I think he gave this 9.5 out of 10. So go and check it out, go and have a look at his video, and at some point we will build this on the channel. I won't be doing it as the box cover, the black one. I will be doing it, oh, it doesn't show you. There is a Luftwaffe two-tone blue version in there, which looks very much like Hermann Goering's sports car colour scheme, so I think I'm going to go with that. It's a little bit more challenging as well, but yeah, so at some point we'll build that, but it's not in my immediate pipeline. So that was my first ad. So, and Peter, a massive, massive thank you. You're a scholar and a gent. Right. CSM. So a little while ago we reviewed a couple of 1 to 32 scale CSM kits, and we've done a comparison with Wingnut Wings, and I think most people, if you've seen those, picked up on the fact that I thought these kits were really, really good. So I was interested to see what their other kits were like. So they do armoured cars, and they do 1 to 48 aircraft kits. Now, if you want a 1 to 48 First World War aircraft kit, you probably normally think possibly Roden, but most commonly Edward, because they do plenty of them. And I have some of them. I've got currently I've got an Albatross kit, and I've built a couple of others, and they are nice kits. So I'm going to do a comparison with this. We're going to compare the Albatross kit to this, and we'll be doing a first impressions of this and see how it stacks up to Edward. Now, I had a quick troll through this. I was really, really blown away. So much so that I'm sort of in the mindset of CSM is now my favourite modelling manufacturer. Now I have a number of modelling companies that I like, a number that I totally dislike, and some that I approach with caution. So Revell, for example, always approached with caution. They do a lot of dross, and but every now and then they do absolute gems like their 1350 Bismarck and Tirpitz. Absolute gems of kits. Probably still the best on the market. Airfix I love, for example, because they hit a nice balance between technical difficulty, accuracy, price point. They balance it all very well. They're not even when you get the 124 scale kits, which are nice proper builders kits, they're still not, you know, you've still not got 500 pieces of photo etch to put on and that sort of stuff. So some manufacturers, Ryefield for example, like to really overcomplicate it, and I think you have to try and find a balance. So there's some kits like manufacturers like Ryefield won't buy one of their kits again because it's so poorly thought through from my experience, so I won't touch them again. Other manufacturers like Thunder Models, really love them. What I'm finding is those that have the attention to detail, multimedia, really thought what works well in plastic, what would be the best way of doing some of these other parts. Nice presentation, you've got everything you need in the box. That's the sort of kit that I like, and that is absolutely one of those, and it's rammed. It's absolutely rammed. So yeah, so that's the Armstrong with FK8, whatever that means. It says it's the mid-production version. We will be reviewing it on the channel. But I also got this. So it's a Minerva, which is a Belgian armoured car. and it's quite different to other armoured cars, as it's got sort of an open top, as you can see the gun there, and people can stand up in there, and actually it's quite small. When you've got a figure next to it, it's not huge. But really, really, really good looking kit when I had a quick look. Now, I also bought a couple of figures. So CSM do figures, so I thought, well, let's check out those figures, see what they're like. So I got a couple of Belgian figures to go with it. So we've got a nice little diorama, less the base, all in the box there now. So we'll review the figures separately, and we'll review that as well, and we might do a comparison. I've got a mini art armoured car, full interior detail, as is this, and I might just do a comparison with that and see how they stack up in terms of approach and what have you. But yeah, I think CSM are becoming my favourite model manufacturer quite quickly. Anyway, that was the stash ads. So I also reorganised my desk a little bit this week because I bought a couple of extra things just to help me out. Now, even though I've got all of this storing everything to do with my modelling, all my modelling tools and products all in one place, there's stuff that you're using regularly that you like to have to hand on your desk. And so you need some way of keeping them tidy. Otherwise, certainly I find it very difficult when you're looking for things. That's how accidents happen. I like to keep everything tidy. This lot gets cleaned down regularly. And when I finish a build, one of the things that I always do is clean the tools, give this a good clean down. It gets a good wipe down. They all get lifted up. We clean the desk. Get rid of all, keep the dust down, the particles, sanding dust and all that sort of stuff that's accumulated during a project. On big projects, I do it periodically anyway, but as I'm usually building multiples, every time a small project finishes, this all gets lifted off, everything gets cleaned, put back down, and then all of this storage will be given a clean as well. Otherwise, when you're airbrushing stuff, you're blowing muck and stuff around and it lands on your paint and all that sort of stuff. So you have to keep this clean. But I thought, now I've reorganised it and I feel like I'm happy with it, I'd give you a quick tour of what I keep to hand and how I keep it all together. So, starting on this tissue paper, using it all the time for all sorts of stuff, so I like to have that to hand. This is my sprue bin, so it's the bottom of a plastic bottle. So when you're trimming parts up and stuff like that, you can just chuck your offcuts on there rather than them building up on the mat and they get stuck under your hand and all sorts of problems. So I like to chuck it in the sprue bin, which gets periodically emptied. I have my dragon tail brush storage. So those are brushes that I've been using recently. So after they've been cleaned, I will put them there because I know I'm still using them. And we're about at the point, because I'm starting to double up, where I'll put them back in their rack. And then I'll start populating it again. So it's just easy to grab a brush and put it back, especially when you're doing detail painting. If you're painting figures and things, it's great to have the brushes you need to hand. So that's generally how. And then my brush storage is just behind it. You can see just behind that I have my airbrushes. They're permanently out. And then once a fortnight, I give them a bit of a wipe over as well, but they get cleaned every time they get used as well. You can also see I've got the paint mixer there to hand. And then one of my new acquisitions is this little wooden thing here. You can make one yourself, to be honest, but I haven't got a drill bit or a tool that would make those holes. So for the cost of £3.50 and free shipping on eBay, I've got that, and that holds my tools. So I used to hang them off the edge, and I was always knocking them over, and it wasn't ideal. So that's much better. So I've got my two etch benders there. I've got my flat pliers, which I use relatively regularly, one way or another, and then two sprue cutters. So the one at the front is my current decent sharp one, and the one behind it's an older one that I damaged, and I use that for cutting thicker parts, and there you have it. I have my super glue lids there, so that's where I put my blobs of super glue when I'm using super glue, or CA if you like. I've got my other liquid glues all at the front because you're using those a lot, different ones for different things. And I've got my little pots which has my scrapers in, my seam scrapers, so we use those a lot as well. And then I have this storage unit, so I added to this week. I added that one. So these all come from Ultimate. You can see them there. It's their own brand of 3D printed storage units. They come in 3 different sizes. Large, so the size is to do with the height. Large, medium, and then they do this sort of small one. So they do some holders that are that size. And you know, starting from the back, we've got my glue applicator, hole reamer, my micro saw. Then I've got some of my tweezers. If you've saw my video on tweezers, you know I've got a lot of tweezers. Then we've got files of different sizes. Then I've got a collection of different hand tools there. So from Tamiya scissors and a little mini clamp, nippers, my awl and that sort of stuff in there. In this one, I've got the knives that I most commonly use. So I've got 3 knives there and my photo etch removing knife that's a modified knife. And then at the back, I've got a load of wooden lollipop sticks, which I use for mounting small parts when painting. I've got pencils, photo etch pencil, my rule, my little fine scratch cleaner there. I've got my big seam scraper and the nutcracker, which I use for opening bottle lids that have got a bit stuck on one way or another. And then we've got sanding. So we've got my large sanding, then my smaller sanding at the front, all various different things. You can see I've got my pipettes there, so they're all labelled up so we don't contaminate, and means we can use them multiple times and not worry that we're contaminating. My little clips there, which I use these a lot. These are really handy. I do use them a lot. And then at the back, you perhaps not see me use this. I use it more on wooden ships, but they are handy for things like making sure that chassis are flat and stuff like that. So I've got a little spirit level which I use surprisingly a lot actually, but although you might not have seen me use it so much on videos, I'm sure I must have done. Then I've got my drill. This is currently in use, so normally this wouldn't be out. But this is currently in use. This is the one I'm using for drilling all the eye-belt holes on the GoTa wings. And then here I have my small parts storage. So these are all empty. The ones that are in use are in their trays with the actual the model. So as I use them and put parts in, I try and keep them with the model. So I have trays there which have some of the model builds in. And then I've got large cases underneath the desk with others in, and these are all empty, so I can just grab them. You can see I've already got these ones we used with the GoTa engines, for example, and now are empty, so put back. So there's tissue paper in there, so if I need to wrap something up and store the parts away, I can put them in there. They've all got lids on, so there's going to be no issues with losing them, dropping them and then falling out. So different sizes. I mean, you've even got, you know, you just pick up little containers that are always handy for small parts one way or another. So I've got some of these being used for storing my eye bolts at the moment. So good to have some of different sizes, because sometimes you've got sub-assemblies and things that you might want to store. So that's where I store them. I've got a couple of drawers here. They have non-modelling related stuff that I need to have to hand, so like my glasses case, and I have a little fan there for cooling when I'm working, and this is where I keep some of my recording equipment, so my webcam and various other IT bits. And then on the top I have one of my computers, which, you know, I use for watching YouTube and films and stuff while I'm going. And that's it. That's my to hand bit of my desk. Behind that is where I store things that I use semi-regularly that are a bit big and chunky. So I've got the armoured, the AFV paint stand there. You can see my, I keep my magnifying glasses there. The paints on the Tamiya carousel, they're all related to Queen Mary 2. And then here you've got my two impromptu spray painting booth. So I have a proper spray painting booth. It's under the desk, but when I'm doing stuff on camera, I can't use that. So sometimes I just mask up, do a small amount in a box so you can see what I'm doing, then get the booth out and finish it off. And then below that, I've got my wing jig, and then you can see my my mule there, which we do all sorts of tests and stuff on. So yeah, and that there, in those bags, is all that is left to put on the GoTa. Right, so there you go. That is my desk configuration currently. Of course, cup of tea. So what is coming up in the week ahead? Well, we're going to be doing some first impressions videos. We're going to do the two CSM kits, definitely. And I'm also going to film the largest kit in my stash, which I've had for a few years now, and it's something very, very different to anything we've ever reviewed before. It's this. Yeah, so Dean's Marine, if you're not familiar with them, they make kits for people that want to radio control a ship, shove it on a lake and bomb it around. They do all sorts of ships from different periods, but they do quite a few military ships in there as well, and that's what I really like. So I've got my eye on another one actually. But it takes up a lot of space, so it's a bit more difficult to sneak into the house, to be honest. In the way of videos, we've already talked about Monday. We continue the journey through ICM paints. On Wednesday, we've got the Thunder Models Bofus, Morris Bofus, which is definitely not to be missed. That's going to be a really nice video. Filmed it, just got to edit it. And then the Friday build will be the first of the Ghost of Kiev MiG-29. So that's what we'll see next. So yeah, I think probably just 3 videos next week. We'll calm it down a little bit. Although I can't promise anything, because if that little armoured car from Airfix turns up, we'll want to get that out. So yeah, we'll be doing that. Now, we won't be doing this conclusion of the 6,000 subscriber special vote during next week. Probably, I've said I'd run it for a week, so that's got to run till at least Thursday. So probably next weekend is when I'll calculate all of the results and make a final decision. I won't announce it on Table Talk. I'll do a separate video. But what I can say right now is, if you've not seen it, I'm going to show you very quickly the kits that you can vote for, and then you go over to that video, and in the comment you say which one you'd like to be built. Make it clear so I don't misunderstand you. There are a few people that have congratulated me on 6,000s and not voted, which, you know, that's up to them. And there's other people that have said, oh, I'm not decided yet, so I'm expecting they'll put another post on. But we've got the Matchbox Char B, which is a kit I have never built, and we explain more about that in the video. So I said that would be all about the detail painting. We have the classic Airfix 1600 Hotspur with Atlantic Models photo etch. So that's all about how can we make this model look the best it can be. The Dornier which we did a first impressions of when it came out last year, and we intend to model that in flight with an engine on fire. The Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, straight out of the box, Tamiya build. It will be a challenge for me because I'm not a car guy really. And then the Austin K2 ambulance with all the aftermarket that I've gathered together for it. So I've got 3 different lots of aftermarket in there as well. So those are what potentially I could be building next. And it's down to you which one it's going to be. What I will tell you now at the time that I am recording this is Hotspur is winning currently, but there is not much in it. It's a very, very close call with the Matchbox, and to be honest, the Dornier is not far behind. The car and the ambulance are lagging a little bit, so if you really desperately want to see me build the Merc, then you need to get over there and get voting. Don't leave it to chance is what I'd say if you really want to see that. But there's lots of people out there that want me to revisit some old kits quite clearly. So, yeah. So, the Hotspur is currently 2 votes ahead of Matchbox. So that could have changed just by the time I've been recording this. Well, there's not much going on in the garden this week. The tomatoes got a bit bigger. We've got fewer spring onions because I've ate more. And that's probably about it for the garden this week. So we won't bother with the garden. So I think that probably brings us to the end. Now, I have loads of subscribers now, 6,000 of you, and you're all over the world. So by all means, tell me where you come from. Talk to me about what you're doing. I know, for example, that there's someone that watches this particular video when they're having their breakfast in New York. So when do you watch my videos? You know, I'm interested. What do you do when, you know, what are you doing when my video's on? Are you doing some modeling, or do you sit down and make time to watch it properly? I know some people watch them on their TV rather than on devices. So I'm interested. Where are you? How do you listen to me? All of that sort of stuff, really interested in. And if you'd like to contribute to the channel, as I've said before, you can hit that little button underneath the video, but by no means, you're not obliged. At some point, the channel will slowly drift away from its current format because I don't have a lot more in the way of kits that I think are appropriate for first reviews. I'm going to do a series on Shelf Queens at some point when I've not got any first impressions left to do. So there's loads of things still to come, and you know, a big stash to get through and build all of it on the channel. So stay tuned, lots coming. Thank you very much for the support. It's massively appreciated. You have a great week. Enjoy your modelling, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.